Hello everyone, it's thomasjujube, and welcome back to Sentai Potential. This is the YouTube series where I take a look at seasons of Super Sentai and their potential for becoming Power Rangers adaptations by looking at a season's original aesthetics, source footage, and possible toy sales. This is a thing I do just for fun. I'm not demanding Hasbro or anyone else takes my ideas here and uses them for an iteration of Power Rangers. I just like analyzing a show that I've just finished watching from a bit of a different angle of adapting it for a different audience. The show that I'm looking at today is Kikai Sentai Zenkaiger, the 45th season of the Super Sentai franchise that celebrates the anniversary of it all with tons of unique and difficult ideas for an adaptation. If you want to hear my in-depth thoughts on Zenkaiger itself without any adaptation stuff, I've already got a whole season review you can go check out, and a review of its movie, and a whole playlist of other Sentai Potential videos if you want to hear more of my dumb ideas. Also, don't forget to leave a like if you ever find a moment where you're enjoying this video. It would greatly help me out. Also subscribe, just, the big red button. Love to hit the big red button. Anyways, let's get to it. Zenkaiger's visuals are usually a hot topic of discussion for whether or not they'd work for a Power Rangers adaptation. These suits are unlike anything we've ever seen before, not just in Power Rangers, but also in Super Sentai, and this is what I think makes them so ripe for an adaptation. In recent years, many complain about how Power Rangers feels like it's gotten incredibly stale, and while a new coat of paint won't fix these problems, it's a helpful step in the right direction. It's all because of how visually diverse this team of Rangers is. In one aspect, they don't even look like they belong to the same team. The only similarities that the heroes share is the numbering on the foreheads and the V on their buckles. Zenkaiger is a slim design with some armor attachments, while the rest of his teammates are entirely armored, and these entirely armored Rangers still manage to look entirely different from each other. Zenkai Juran and Gaon share parts but have completely different faces, while Zenkai Majin and Vroon are totally distinct in comparison to each other and the rest of the team. In fact, their armored robotic designs make them look distinct in comparison to every other Ranger design ever. Even if Tukaiser is conceptually like Zenkaiser, as he has a normal build with some armor, the two look nothing alike. This is meant to be our main team of heroes, but not only do they not really look like a unified team, most of their Rangers don't even look like Rangers. But that's why I think this would be a great Power Ranger season. What unifies them are the anniversary concepts that inspire their designs. Despite the bulkiness of the four robots making them distinct among their own team and the rest of the franchise, they still feel like Power Rangers characters because they are based on Power Rangers designs. It's a team of personified Megazords utilizing designs that span throughout the franchise's history, even including a new rendition of the original Mighty Morphin Megazord that you can add to the million other variations of the Mighty Morphin Megazord. The pink Titan Megazord really stands out for me as well. It looks really pretty. Hi, these robotic Rangers still feel like members of the Power Rangers franchise through and through, maybe even more than most adapted seasons, because again, their visuals are taken straight from the history of the franchise. This continues with the Gold Ranger being a very clear, not even reference, just straight up is a suit design from Super Megaforce. No matter your opinions on the season, having a character look like he's actually part of a different show is an insanely unique concept for Power Rangers. Having him and Zenkaiser utilize forms based on more previous teams rather than new concepts is another exciting layer to the legacy power aspect. In addition to directly referencing previous robots, now we get references to previous power-ups and 6 Rangers. It's the Dragon Zord. How would you not adapt the Dragon Sword armor mecha design? The Megazords continue this trend as well, but in a more abstract way. All of the robos of the season are one of the characters in one way or another, be it the main Zenkaios being most of the main Zenkaigers combining into a larger state, or the Tukaios functioning as giant bodies for the SDs, or Zenkaijuo combining the two humans. Like the armored versions of the Rangers on the ground, around, these would be some of the most unique Megazords of the franchise, purely for the fact that they're kind of the most marketable. Like, aside from the fact, again, they are based off previous Power Rangers teams, these aren't just lifeless machines or speechless hybrids, these are the living, breathing characters on our main team. Additionally, instead of just being clear references to the past, the designs are representative of long-running motifs in the franchise. They all have some big symbol or two on the design connecting back to heroes with prehistoric, or animal, or magical, or vehicle, or symbol designs. The ultimate robot of the season even demonstrates this concept with just one big amalgamation of symbols that connects back to each and every single season's aesthetics that came before this one. Yes, there are some blatant references to the past, like Zenkaiger just being the Dragon Zord with V-Rex's head, but for the most part, the Megazords integrate the anniversary angle more fluidly and manage to retain some unique aspects that would make them unique within the world of Power Rangers. Now, when the Sentai Zenkaiger and Stacyzer add to this concept of unification under Legacy, with Zenkaiger as an upgrade of the first Sentai ever, and Stacyzer as a reimagining of what was portrayed as the first Sentai for some time. Obviously, these designs were not adapted into Power Ranger seasons, and I'm too lazy to check if either of them were used in Super Mega Force, so theoretically they would kind of dampen the Legacy aspect in an adaptation. But honestly, I think, again, this is what makes them work so well. Zenkaiger is so colorfully insane looking that he perfectly fits in with the other insane character designs, even if, unlike the other heroes, his design is new for Power Rangers. It kind of gives the team their own unique branding, I guess. Like in this collection of anniversary designs, they are still led by a brand new design. So Stacyzer functions as his rival in more ways than one. His Robo is the only one in the whole show that doesn't combine, while Zenkaiser's reaches its full potential once it combines with his friends, and obviously with darker color tones, Stacyzer naturally opposes Zenkaiser's literal rainbows, and yet the two designs are also linked together as the only two Ranger designs that aren't derivative of the Power Rangers history. Sentai exclusive aspects are typically used as reasons why a show shouldn't be adapted, but the exclusive suits are one of the biggest reasons here why I think it should be adapted. The numbers on everything corresponding to the order of airing in Japan is usually cited as a reason why Zenkaiger is unadaptable, but like, no. Power Rangers is filming so much original footage these days that production could easily cut around the Sentai gear footage so you don't see the numbers and any Sentai exclusive teams. And then for the Rangers, maybe they just create new helmets without the numbers and then they use those for like all the promotion and close-up shots, and then you can't really notice them that much in the source footage as long as we don't use close-ups. Or maybe they'd create some story explanation for the numbers, or maybe they won't in typical Power Rangers fashion. So on a visual level, Zenkaiger works perfectly for a Power Rangers adaptation. The suits present long-running motifs and designs of the franchise in new and exciting ways like tiny Megazords and living mechas, and combined with some Sentai exclusive reimaginings, this Power Rangers season would obviously fit in with what's come before, but it could also propel the franchise in a new and exciting direction. And once again, there are just two characters with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers powers that combine into a big robot. Like, Hasbro just sees dollar signs when they look at that thing, I'm pretty sure. I think what's really important for the story of the Zenkaiger adaptation to do is maintain how the anniversary elements of the Sentai were prioritized on a visual level, while the story of freeing the multiverse wasn't as specific to the franchise's lore. Since Power Rangers has been pushing a multiverse of their own for a few years now, I think it would be best to utilize that, but like in a different way. Instead of trapping worlds, the Toji Tendo send out different monsters throughout the timeline that are each designed to counteract a specific team of Power Rangers. So the result is this branching multiverse of timelines where the Power Rangers don't exist in either of them, because every time a new team rises up, a robot soldier arrives to hunt and destroy them, allowing the Toji Tendo to reign supreme across everything. In one dimension, a happy-go-lucky yet incredibly intelligent mechanic has been reverse engineering the Toji Tendo's technology in order to create a new ultimate Power Ranger to stop them once and for all. Zenkaiger. Obviously his name is not Zenkaiger, I just don't change most of the names because I don't feel the need to. Anyways, because he's reusing the evil gear technology, it's not detected as a new team of Power Rangers, so he's able to successfully face off against that world's warden. A Worlden, if you will. still. Once the World End is defeated, it sheds this outer layer of sorts to reveal Juron. He explains to Zenkaiger / Kaito the whole situation with the Toji Tendo and how they've been kidnapping their own citizens, the Kikainoids, in order to become their dimensional soldiers. However, since he saved Juron, he's returned this universe to its original state under the protection of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Oh my god, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers! Realizing that he may be the only one that can save the multiverse, Kaito whips up a device that'll let him travel the multiverse and bring back all the Power Rangers. We can make the device Sechan so that he's still like in the show and a little bird that does stuff. Juron decides to tag along as well to pay back Kaito for saving him and, you know, get revenge on the Toji Tendo. So Kaito creates a ranger form for him based on the universe he saved him from. The next missions follow a similar pattern as a Kikinoid is freed from Toji Tendo control and wants to join the team, so Kaito creates a ranger form for them based on the universe they just saved. After we've assembled our main 5 Zenkaigers, then we could have the following Kikinoids just want to return home or stay in a different universe for plot reasons, because obviously we only have 5 Rangers. Because the world ends are only tied to past Power Rangers seasons in concept, not design, it leaves the door open to tie the references into anything you wanted for whatever reason you wanted. Especially with how wacky some of these Zenkaiger monsters are, you could do something like the Vacation World End was so friendly that he defeated the Psycho Rangers in a timeline where they became the main Power Rangers after another World End defeated the Space Rangers. Or like in the beginning episodes, upon its defeat, it would be revealed that the Mushroom World End defeated the Mystic Force Rangers, and you could say that's connected to like Toad. And then once Majin is freed and joins the team, yay! The next episode uses her Zenkaiger introduction fighting the Ice World End, which could then be the Operation Overdrive world because it's connected to the weird ice people from that show. So we pretty much need new monsters for the first 2 episodes to give us a solo Zenkaiger fight, and then the original duo fighting a World End, and it's a perfect opportunity to cram MMPR down our throats and go all out with like their own unique monster design in the very first episode of the show. None of the gears will come from freeing the worlds, like Kaito only is inspired to make the new gears after freeing the first few worlds. At a certain point we could have him or Sechan do some multiversal investigation and create powers based on the other teams to fill out this team's power set. One other thing I'd have in the beginning here as well is that there's no direct influence from the Toji Tendo, specifically the giant robot reinforcements, meaning there's no mecha battles. After the main team is assembled, we'll be introduced to the villains, which are about the same as they were in Zenkaiger, leading to Barashitara beginning to directly attack in the field, while Ijuride starts sending out the bigger monsters, which causes Kaito to develop the Megazord technology for his friends. This sudden discovery of a human Kikinoid force prompts Ijuride to begin new experiments, eventually creating a Kikinoid human hybrid of his own in the form of Stay Caesar. This version of the character retains the conflicting angst of the original, but in a slightly different format since there's no Yatsude and he's not Barashitara's biological son. He feels loyal to all of the Toji Tendo since they're all he remembers and they're what made him, and he despises the Zenkaiger Kikinoids for betraying the Empire and Zenkaiger for leading that charge. But at the same time, he's ridiculed by the other Toji Tendo for being human in appearance, and he hates them for making him the way he is or treating him this way, and he respects the Zenkaigers for managing to break free of the system he feels trapped by. The idea is that by having Ijuride as his creator and weapons provider and Barashitara as his mentor, but in a bit of a twisted way, the other villains get some interesting development alongside Stacy. Part of that development will also be fueled by Super Mega Force Gold. The Super Mega Force dimension would be freed after the Zenkaigers defeat the adapted version of the monster from the first movie. We don't need to adapt the movie itself, but come on, you have to use the monster with a bunch of previous monsters as the World End that defeated the team that can turn into legendary powers never seen before on the surf, or whatever Gosei says. To constitute the power of this World End, it was made by combining 2 Kikinoid twins who meet Zox and Flint in this world after they're freed by the Zenkaigers. These Kikinoids explain how they were taken from their only parent because of the Toji Tendo, which connects with these human siblings since they lost their own parents during the invasions of Super Mega Force. So they decide to join the multiversal war for this purpose with their own equipment based on the Zenkaigers and the team of their home dimension. I want these two to be like massive Power Rangers fans, kind of like Guy and Gokaiger, since they come from a dimension where the Power Rangers can become every other season of Power Rangers that came before them. The Zeo and Samurai parts they give the Kikinoid SDs that would then combine into the armor forms are just references to their favorite seasons. And then I want Zox's Ranger designation to literally be Super Mega Force Gold, not like whatever the adapted season name is. And I want Flint to be Mega Force Silver. I know we've got a Tukai Flint suit we could use, but I think if we had to make a Power Rangers duo with one half of it being a Super Mega Force suit, it's a perfect opportunity to tribute the suits that they are actually powered up from. Flint isn't always in fights since she's primarily the mechanic still, which explains why we don't see that suit too often, and she designs the super forms based on the Super Mega Force Silver Megazord thing that I can't remember the name of, and then we can give her a Dino Thunder upgrade as well to complete the 3 Ranger trio that Megazord references. And then also for sure throw in a Tommy MMPR joke somewhere in there because, you know, oh my god, Tommy Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Tommy whatever Tommy. So yeah, the SD world then is obviously the missing parent, which is why there's a big emotional moment and stuff with that world end when we meet the world end, but I guess we wouldn't need the entire family to leave at this point since they're kind of, they want to be heroes. So seeing how humans and Kikinoids can consider each other family despite their differences draws Stacy closer to the light. But to counteract this, the Emperor makes a request to Ijurede to create Hakaiser. Hakaiser functions as Stacy's own Kikinoid partner that transforms using the gear Tozinger, and he has the ability to grow large and become a new mecha just like the other Kikinoids. The Zenryoku Cannon and Zenryoku Zenkaiger are created by the heroes to match the power of Hakaijuo. Stacy becomes content with the Tojitendo for once as he finally has a real friend, and he feels like the Emperor may actually be looking out for him, but it's ultimately a lie. Hakaiser was always designed to be a body for the Emperor to inhabit once it built up enough power. So once it's built up enough power, the Emperor effectively kills Stacy's ally by going into the body and creating the whole caped form of the character. Feeling betrayed by the Emperor for taking his friend for selfish intent, he leaves the Tojitendo once and for all and becomes a rogue ranger operating with no goal, providing no assistance for either side as the Zenkaigers defeat Hakaiser and seemingly the Emperor himself, leaving Barashitara in charge. Stacy's arc is finally complete when he helps the Zenkaigers break into the Tojitendo Palace after they defeat all the world ends. For the final battle, Gigi manifests his own body by absorbing broken remains of the old Emperor, the world ends, and all the freed Power Rangers worlds. To take revenge for his Emperor, he is now the ultimate being in possession of all Power Rangers teams within a body made from their greatest weaknesses. Unlike Gigi and the rest of the Tojitendo who only saw the multiverse as a tool to be used for their conquest, the 7 Zenkaigers saw the multiverse as a wonderful hodgepodge of different cultures, ideas, and people, just like themselves and their Power Rangers predecessors, which allowed them to defeat Gigi and bring this multiversal war to a conclusion. That's my main idea. Be sure to let me know your own ideas down in the comments, since I'm sure there are tons of different ways to adapt Zenkaiger. As usual, I wanted to make my ideas realistic, but if I was given like total control for whatever I wanted to do, I'd make Majin the main focus character, and then I'd have Ryu Kaiser introduced later on as like the secondary character of the show. And the show basically just becomes about those two fighting the Tojitendo, since they can form a mecha together, but they'll also like, you know, have little dates together, like getting snacks since Majin likes snacks, or seeing magic shows since Majin likes magic, or maybe helping out like Majin's little fortune telling business. And then at the wedding, a monster attacks, but that allows them to upgrade into a Maji Ranger form that is based on the couples of that show that can then combine into a bigger Maji Ranger robot that can then further combine into Zenkaiyo Queen Majin, and then Ryu Kaiser's real name is Tom. What money could a Zenkaiger adaptation make? Who knows, because Hasbro barely makes any of the toys that appear in their shows. Like, oh yeah, I love the Dino Fury Gold Ranger. Can't wait to go to Target and buy his gun. Oh wait, I can't. It's not a toy here. It's okay. At least I can go buy a figure of him wearing his gold armor. Oh wait, I can't because they didn't make a toy of that either. Oh well, at least I can go buy his mecha and combine it with the Dimetrodon. Oh wait, I can't do that because they're only making like half of the Zord line. Well, at least what they're making works like it does in the show. Oh my god. In an ideal world, the Zenkaiger roleplay line would have the 3 morphers, the Gear Tlinger, Gear Tozinger, and Gear Dalinger, and the Zenroku Cannon would be a bit of a bigger weapon since it's mainly a weapon in the show, not so much of a Zord, but obviously this would double as a Zord. As for the gears, thankfully with Donbrothers making DX sets now, we know that a 5 gear set is around $10. So if we assume like 30 seasons of Power Rangers, that's about 6 sets, then maybe another 6 sets for dark gears, and then the Zenkaiger gear would be equivalent to about 2 packs, I'd say. Moving on to figures, of course, the main 7 Rangers get figures in addition to the 2 power-ups, and then I guess Hakaiser and the Foot Soldiers could have figures as well, and then screw the 12-inch figures since they don't even make those anymore. This is the first episode ever where we actually know the price of Hasbro Megazords, since previously it was kind of just a guess since the Go Buster Zords are a bit different. They basically sell the Megazords for like $25 each as opposed to the $50 I've been pricing them at for a while now. So while they'll probably only make the 2 Zenkaios, I might as well include 2 Kaio, Zenkaijuo, Battle Caesar Robo, and the Enya Rhydon, I guess. Like that kind of constitutes like a whole Zord. So Zenkaiger's potential sales comes in at a whopping $530, which is even lower than Kira Major's number from last year. So for Zenkaiger, there's certainly a lack of Zords and less figures since there's no team power-up and there's not really like a whole arsenal of Zords. But the inclusion of a gimmick really increases the roleplay numbers, but there's also a little bit of a lack of weapons. It's definitely worth noting that this isn't entirely Zenkaiger's fault. It also has to do with the number adjustments and cutting out some stuff that I mentioned earlier in light of the evolution of Hasbro's Power Rangers toys in the last few years of owning the franchise. You know, this has always been a thing with Sentai Potential. There was a lot more stuff I was counting like in the first couple of episodes that I've since cut back on, since I've always wanted to make these prices as realistic as possible, but the changes felt more impactful this time since, you know, I didn't really include as many random weapons or random Megazords that I usually would. As such, I don't think we should really take this as proof that a Zenkaiger adaptation cannot or will not happen, because I'm not using the same prices and items and etc. that I was using 3 years ago, so those prices won't really compare very well. In fact, the possible sales don't really mean as much of anything because, you know, Hasbro sure as hell isn't selling over $900 worth of Dino Fury merchandise, and additionally, is it really worth comparing Zenkaiger to those older seasons for adaptations? I have no idea. What I'm trying to say is the comparison aspect of these potential sales isn't as useful as it used to be, and especially with the entirety of the franchise in question, I don't think I'll stop doing Sentai Potential ever, but there is a good chance this specific segment, or maybe the entire show, will be different in next year's Donbrothers episode. We'll have to see. There's a lot of potential in an adaptation of Kikai Sentai Zenkaiger. Despite some of the wackier Sentai-specific elements, this could be a really incredible Power Rangers anniversary season. It pays respect to plenty of the past seasons visually, even putting the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on a bit of a pedestal, already doing some of the heavy lifting for Hasbro. However, since the story and source footage don't go as all-in with the anniversary elements, it leaves the door open to tailor-fit the story to the Power Rangers brand. And just like Zenkaiger, despite not having the largest selection of toys, by having most of the merchandise be actual characters in the show you can relate to and get attached to, it becomes one of the most unique toy lines. I think with the right decisions, a Zenkaiger adaptation could work, but I don't actually really care if it happens or not. I already love the Majin show featuring Zenkaiger that we have right now. I don't really have any desire to see another take on it right now, but if it does happen, I'll definitely check it out, and I'll definitely get some of the toys. So if you enjoyed this Sentai Potential episode, be sure to make sure you're subscribed, because I've got another coming very soon on Maho Sentai Magi Ranger, aka Power Rangers Mystic Force. So check out the Patreon if you want to see that as soon as possible. Also make sure to leave a like, leave a comment, do both, and I hope to see you next time.